Check. Keep it alive through these lines I write. I keep it live cause I thrive. I might just blow your mind tonight. I'm so hyped, but it's no hype. From this height, it's direct hits on sight. I'm your type, lend me your ears to show you that there's something in me. I'm not giving up, I'm standing right here, holding these days hostage. And I'll make this my year. We turning fear into love, and the love's in the air. I love doing this cause nothing compares. Nothing can share that same type of feeling when you feeling them flares. They can't catch it, it's havoc. I rip to a tear, switch a scenario on stereos, I leave them impaired. Variables start to change and they're all in my range. I just gotta grab it, it's all mathematics. Every step is drastic, I make it fantastic. I'm trying to take your breath away. Asthmatic.
This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo. This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo.
Yeah, just nod your head with it, so explicit and vivid. Every image is intricate, intimate. I put my all into it, no scrimmage and no rules. I'm a pro tool, hear my heartbeat, beat into the vocals. I'm so loco, lost my mind, oh no. It's Ponderoso, dope, so no overdose, cause it's dope, yo. Man, this is house grown, mixed with some milestones. So I let the style flow down like the Dow Jones, bringing it with some foul tones, letting the crowd know we getting loud, so it's eardrum rudiments. Yeah, we bring it rude again. Move, little hooligan. Music for tuning in, full time to the 10. I'm on my clock like I told you. I'm doing this for dreams we pursuing.
Yeah, I don't know, man. We've been having a bunch of disconnects lately. I don't know what it is, but it's always when we're talking about some controversial stuff. But yeah, I think that we've forced their hand in admitting to it. They didn't want to admit to it before because then they'd probably get blamed for all these droughts or whatever. And I mean, we see the patterns out here. I'm guessing that they're doing it down here in SoCal where we're having this massive drought.
We're getting hit by somebody, it seems, huh?
Yeah, because every time we'll have a nice few days of sunny weather, and then you'll see all these contrails in the sky, and then a few days later it'll be overcast and it'll sprinkle a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, we need the rain, but there's no telling the idiotic side effects of this policy that they're doing, and just like anything else, there's always going to be some kind of side effects. And of course, if they're spraying silver iodine in the atmosphere, that's probably not great for our health.
No, it's really been well documented at this point that the pretense was always global warming. We're going to put boron, we're going to put aluminum nanoparticles that will stay up in the clouds and they'll reflect just enough of the sunlight to prevent global warming. And then when we found out, through our own research, that global warming was, in a sense, created through the use of fossil fuels we never had to use in the first place. So we knew it was a sham. Then they tried to tell us that, oh, no, trust us. Even if there is no global warming, this is still going to be a way for us to direct the weather where we want it. Well, that should ring a bell in your head. If they can direct the weather where they want it, they've already weaponized it a long, long, long time ago. And it's been used. It's being used. It's earthquakes, it's storms, it's typhoons, and yeah, it is droughts.
Yeah, I mean, what better way to bring a country to its knees than a massive drought? Think about it.
Exactly.
So to think, and this was kind of the conversation I always got into with the chemtrail believers and the chemtrail deniers. First of all, chemtrail isn't a healthy word to use when you're trying to debate somebody because it's become so politicized and everyone thinks it's a conspiracy theory. Now, obviously, with this new report today, or it came out yesterday from Vice and came out on the 10th from AccuWeather. Obviously they're starting to admit to geoengineering and stuff. So that's what we should talk about. Call it. I mean, whether it's chemtrails or not, they're dumping chemicals out the tail end of a airplane. So yeah, basically it is. But that just the term, we got to think about the language. It's like talking about communism or capitalism. It's a politicized word. So we got to talk about it in more of scientific terms. And it is something that we need to look into and try to get some transparency from. And
right.
Now is a perfect time for a whistleblower to come forward and talk about this stuff because
there are whistleblowers, and they've already kind of discussed at length of what the long-term effects will be. But they all work in tandem. I mean, it's the fluoride in the water, it's the GMOs in the food, on top of the pesticides that now are in. I found that they're taking a random sample of soil, air, and water in the U.S. and found that 75% of all particles had the stupid Roundup glyphosates in them. You can't get them out because they invade the cellular wall. So we're beyond poison at this point. We're radioactive, we're GMO'd, we're fluorided, yeah, we're chemtrailed. Anything you could think of, we're getting bombarded with it. And we're seeing the effects, Nick. We see massive childhood problems. I mean, children right now are absolutely, they're guinea pigs and they're getting hit. Me and you, at least as grown men, have an immune system that, we got immunized and we didn't have this GMO crap in us, this vaccines. We had the old school stuff and it worked. And then they decided to go cheaper because they needed to make that $1 vaccine that they make now. So it's ludicrous, man. We know what happens. Kidney failure, dementia later in life. Shoot, people are even getting emphysema now where there's heavy spray that aren't smokers.
Yeah, yep. And, I was looking at some of the side effects of silver iodide stuff, and there are environmental impacts. It's not an innate chemical. It actually will affect us negatively health-wise and all that. So it's not something that we need to take lightly. It's something that we need more information on. And it's something that we need to, something that we need to remain professional with while we try to dig into this stuff and get more details out of. And the way that the media is presenting this stuff, these two articles that I was talking about, one from Vice, the other from AccuWeather, they're presenting it like, oh yeah, we've been doing it forever. By the way, we just didn't want to mention it, and it's good. It's going to help. It's going to help, and all this stuff.
Since the '60s, I believe, is when they started what they called cloud seeding. Actually, the first unclassified papers from the Korean War showed that we tried to use weather or cloud seeding to make a lot of bad rain on the steep slopes of North Korea to make their troops pretty much be unable to dig in. We would try to flood them out. It didn't work. We didn't have the tech at that point to do that, but I'm sure now it's pretty perfected.
Yeah, and to think that it's not being weaponized would just be foolish. I mean, it's been man's obsession for a long, long time, and of course we're going to do it. And I mean, it's just as simple as that. This whole global warming thing that they're blaming it on is not. It's just. This is basically like carbon taxing in order to fix global warming. It's not going to happen.
Right.
Now, what will help fix global warming is what's coming out of Germany that I'm seeing now.
Oh, the 1 hour with no bill?
Yeah, that was awesome. So apparently in Germany they had a day where it was really sunny, so all the solar panels were able to generate electricity.
And windy.
And it was windy, so all their windmills were generating electricity. And for an hour during a certain day, last week I believe it was, these guys were actually paying negative money. Slightly negative, so they were actually almost getting paid to use this electricity for a while. And I mean, this is the kind of direction we need to start thinking about. Look at the southwest of the United States. I mean, we're absolutely covered in solar paneling. And there was an example out of, I believe it was India, where they used solar panels to cover up all their canals. And think of it, over in the Central Valley here where we produce almost a huge chunk of produce for the whole country. They have all these canals that run through there, and think of all that water that evaporates in those canals. They can cover these canals up with solar paneling like they've done in India.
And so the roads.
Yeah, and the roads. You got the solar tiles that we saw that went really viral. They did great on. They're one of the most successful crowdfunding campaigns ever on Kickstarter.
Yep.
And these are huge, and those things are game changers, man.
Yes, they are. I mean, there's so many changes right now coming out. I mean, it's only going to be a matter of time before this Tesla tech becomes small scale, because there's already guys right now that have zero-sum engines where it'll put out more than you put in perpetually. You just need to kickstart it, so to speak. So it's not... The days of us paying power to power companies are pretty much over, and then big gas and big oil are pretty much dead wherever there's technology to get rid of it. I mean... How many people would pay $35,000 for an electric car knowing that they'll never spend another dollar at a gas station? They'll never do another oil change. I mean, the maintenance on it is pretty negligible. And the main problem now is just the lithium doesn't have the ability to stretch out far enough for people to use it as a daily driver. But those days are close to being over. There's things now where they can put solar paneling on an electric car's roof so it's powering all the time when it's outside. And if you park it somewhere and come back, you're going to have a pretty full battery. I mean, these things are just on the horizon. The solar paneled roads will pretty much take out all of our public infrastructure's power bills. We're not going to have a city power bill after this. I mean, these things are fundamental changes in their paradigm shifts, and they're going to free up a lot of capital, and people may be able to do a lot of things with the money they save.
Yeah, and like we talked about before, man, once you have plentiful electricity, you can make water.
You can do anything.
And once you can do that, you can basically do anything else.
Yep.
Now, if anyone, I know we're getting a call here, but we're not really going to take calls until Justin gets on after 8:30, so whoever's calling now. Are you getting that call over there on your side?
No, I'm not.
Okay, maybe someone's calling my personal account then.
There it is.
Right. We're going to take some calls once Justin gets on after 8:30. You guys can talk. We can all talk about this situation in Iraq. Now, from another perspective, and I'm looking at it from this perspective that government is an existential threat. and that centralization is an existential threat to freedom, right? So if we look at it that way, then fossil fuels themselves are an existential threat to our freedom, because fossil fuels they have to be centralized, because you have to drill you have to have a huge operation to pump this stuff out of the ground. And that means that if you wanted to go pump oil right now, set up a fracking operation, you're talking about, $10 million, $20 million to get in the game at the least, right? So, fossil fuels, due to the fact that they are, you have to, produce them in a centralized manner. That itself is going to be a threat to our freedom in the long run. So, aside from the pollution, aside from the global warming and all of that stuff, the simple fact that we need decentralized energy, regardless of anything else, should be near the top of our list of priorities. We shouldn't be over in Iraq getting ready to bomb the hell out of these guys because they're worried that the insurgents are going to take control of the oil fields. We should be getting and making it easier for people here to start producing their own electricity. That's really the end of it.
And I think that shift is coming, but there's particular groups that need the funding, and they are attached to the military complex themselves, because if we look at every military conflict we've had, there's always a resource grab behind it. We've never had a war of real moral conscience since World War II. Some argue Korea and Vietnam count, but really an ideological crash resulting in millions of deaths isn't justified to me. What would be justified is stopping the millions of more deaths had we not stopped Hitler. So, of course, World War II goes down as an actual war that needed to be fought. But everything other than that, it was always a resource grab to keep corporations going. There's people at the top now, I think, that are trying to finally break away from that, because if we keep humanity down as a whole, we'll never get free. We'll never evolve. We'll never get better than we're at. This will be all we ever are. And the people at the top that have a heart, that aren't psychopathic, understand that.
Yeah, man. It's just one of these things where if we don't take control of it, like with what's happened to our food supply, if we don't take control of it, then there's going to be this situation where we get abused and we get taken advantage of, we get sick, just like with all this fracking stuff, just like with the GMOs and the pesticides. Now that they took advantage, now everybody's getting sick, everyone's getting cancer and all this stuff. Same thing with the fracking. The health effects are coming to light with the people that live near the fracking operations and stuff. And it's something that we need to take care of now. Otherwise, later on, it's going to be much harder to do, because then all these powers are going to become entrenched. Either that or the solar industry will get monopolized.
Yep.
We don't want to be buying from giant. You know how Google has that giant solar complex out there in the desert that was killing all those birds or whatever. Those aren't the kind of things that we want to be buying from. No. If possible, we want to get our energy produced at our own location. That way, we're not.
In a utopian society of technology we know exists, and there's no doubt about it, this is what you would do. You'd go to work, and at the end of the month, when that you had $500 extra because you were scrimping and saving or whatever, you worked hard, you could print out another solar panel on your 3D printer at home. You just buy another license for another panel for $500, and you go up on your roof, and you install it, and you attach it to your little mini grid, and then the next month, guess what? You have 10 more bucks. And so on and so forth, and it becomes what Albert Einstein said is the most powerful force in the world. That's interest, exponential interest. That's what they're afraid of. If people actually started to make money off of the grid en masse, think about what could happen. Co-ops, like I was fortunate enough to have while I was in Sacramento, where the people owned the power production. I had a $9 electric bill. This is reality. This is what we could have when everybody had their fair share of solar panels and then windmills or whatever, these new turbines that are coming out. We would bankrupt these companies out of existence, and then we'd co-opt them.
Yeah, man, and then once that happens, then we can start getting 3D printers out there. And once we get to that point, we're talking about Walmart being gone. we're talking about a big time change in the economy, man. Back to the
industry.
Exactly, man. Back to the decentralized industries, and no one can carry a monopoly over stuff anymore. I mean, this is the future, and when we get to that point, then guess what? No one's going to be getting robbed when they go to, because, I mean, when you go to Walmart, you're basically robbing your community because that money gets siphoned out of your community and it goes over to the executives over down in Arkansas, wherever these guys are from.
Yep.
But if we're talking about a decentralized industry where the manufacturing can be either done on location or really close by, I mean, and we're talking about people being able to sell stuff out of their houses off the internet. I mean, this is the way of doing things. The only time you should be sending money out of your community is if you're shopping on the internet from another small vendor. I mean, so I think not only do we need to come up with these solutions, but of course it's the mentality of the people that really needs to get. The people need this new enlightenment movement as much as anything.
Yep. I mean, I couldn't say it more. It's once this change happens, it's going to change everything. It's going to free everybody up. Everybody's always worried about jobs and stuff, but what if nobody has jobs? What if it's just people that own a bunch of paper? They own a bunch of notes, and they say, hey, guess what? We own everything, and you work for us. People aren't going to buy it. I mean, they may unleash some kind of drone army, but I still don't think 50 or 100,000 drones can beat 7 billion people, so I think the time is ripe for a new shift. A lot of those people at the top that have been in these families are going to be able to have a leadership role for sure because they've been groomed for these positions and they've been doing a decent enough job. But the people that have been ruining the things, these totally crazy, basically financial pariahs, these parasites that have caused strife worldwide, pretty much since 1913, they'll need to be dealt with, and probably most of their family will too.
Yeah, because these guys aren't going to be giving up their treasure very, very, they're not just going to hand it up and say, all right, we lost, guys. No, these people, you don't just lose a battle like that. You try to do as much damage as you can as you're going down.
There you go.
And as these guys start realizing, okay, we've been outmaneuvered and our monopoly is being broken up, all right, well, I mean, these guys are sick. These are sick people, man. These are sociopaths. So you think that they wouldn't try to pull everyone down with them? So, that's what we gotta, really be careful for, I guess.
Yep. I mean, the thing is that the wrench that's being thrown into this whole thing is Russia's gold-backed ruble with China as their partner, meaning that China is going to continue to provide them with cheap labor for their gas and natural gas reserves and oil reserves to power their future. And where does that leave us? Well, we can't buy anything for cheap anymore from China because the dollar's not going to be worth anything, and we don't really have any oil except, well, these constant wars for the Middle Eastern stuff. So the shift, the Pacific shift, it's just a prelude to eventually going against Russia, China, or both, or whatever.
Yeah, and it's not going to be pretty, man, because, we're seeing it right now. If you're fighting, look at these people, look at this whole situation in Iraq, and these people with the ISIS, or whatever they're called. The reason these guys are making such gains is because they've got a cause that they actually believe in. And they're fighting against these Iraqi guys that are just basically propped up by us, and they're not actually there for the fight, man. They're just there for the paycheck.
And they pulled a particularly dirty trick where they went in with provocateurs weeks ahead of time and took basically the families of all of the Iraqi army generals hostage, and pretty much said, we're going to kill all of your family in front of you if you don't call your soldiers and tell them to surrender to us. So these generals called their own troops and said, hey, surrender to these guys. Nothing will happen to you. They're going to take you prisoner, and then they're just going to strip you of arms and let you go. They want to fight in Baghdad. They don't want to kill you guys. Sure enough, as soon as they surrendered, they massacred them by the thousands in these massive graves. I mean, there's bodies lining the highways now in Mosul, and there's video of it, and there's lots of video of it. So this atrocity was created by wealthy donors, from what everybody can tell, rich Saudi royal family guys and Kuwaiti guys and guys in Qatar that are themselves extreme. extreme Islamists. They want the Sharia law in the most heinous way possible, and they'll stop at nothing to get it. And now this monster's created, and now we have to side with who of all countries? Iran.
Exactly, man. Now let's start at the beginning here. Let me pull up this article. I mean, we go back to the initial Operation Iraqi Freedom or whatever, right? And we look at the situation that got us in there. And once again, it's the mainstream media selling us this bogus lie. Now we have Chelsea Manning coming out and saying that we were lied to from the beginning. All right. Now you got this other information that was just breaking today that basically the CIA had evidence that there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and all this evidence was basically just thrown to the side. So I mean, we're talking about we went in there initially on bogus charges, trumped up charges, half truths or direct lies, right? And now we're being faced with this reality. This reality that all that time spent and all these people that died, it kind of has gone in vain now at this point. And what we're seeing now is after all this debacle, after all this time, we pull out of Iraq. There's blatant corruption going on. There's nothing we can do about it. We spent how many years? 14 years trying to deal with this thing, and there was just nothing that we could do. And there was nothing that we could do to fix it in all these years. And now let's not forget that we were over there in the first Gulf War back in the early 90s. And we had placed heavy sanctions and even a no-fly zone on these people for years and years and years, causing up to an estimated 1 million deaths of Iraqis because of the sanctions and things that we've done. So you've got first of all, the people that are actually quote-unquote on our team here, the Iraqi army and stuff, they don't even like us. They're on our team and they don't even like us. Let's get that straight, first of all. Right now, then we got to talk about the ISIS, which they were in Syria fighting on the same side as the guys that we were backing. In fact, there's a lot of people that are saying that these guys were getting weapons, benefiting from weapons that we were sending through our allies over to the fighters in Syria. So,
well, that's what Libya was all about. That's what Benghazi was about, and that's what they say. There's a sea of weapons in the desert, like. So much so that it was visible from space by almost everybody, and the dirty game was up. These arms were coming in. No matter how many intermediaries we used, it was obvious where they were coming from, and that people got caught up in it, and they didn't want anybody to find out. So they let them take Benghazi. If things are used in dirty wars, other groups of murderers and killers, and honestly the worst types of people there are. For our national security, so be it. Everything else be damned. That's the general mentality since the end of World War II, when it was that we needed to have dominance in every specter of everywhere in the globe at all levels. Complete dominance was the key.
Yeah, and if you ask me, all this foreign policy, it's done nothing but turn back and bite us in the ass over and over and over and over again. Look at the situation with Iran and how much these people hate us because we overthrew their government when they had a democratically elected government. I mean, they were even better than Iraq was before we went in there. I mean,
well, their government hates our government, but honestly, their people are quite secular and modernized and really do want to kind of be part of the modern world more than they would like to be part of the Middle East. In effect, they would really love to be accepted into some kind of a trade agreement, and I think that Khomeini knows that if he goes against the wishes of the youth, what does he really have? I mean, they have a very aged population, not that many middle-aged, really. It's older guys and then their kids. Like, the Iraqi war really took out a lot of people when they had to fight their neighbor. It just killed off so many of their young guys. So they need to pay attention to and really cater to their youth. And we know that. our State Department knows that, and the game is not to fight them because Israel's threatened by them, but to actually, well, honestly, cultivate some kind of weird friendship with them, some kind of at least loyal allegiance to each other, that we're not going to kill each other as long as we don't get in each other's way of our own national interests. You on?
Yeah, I'm on here.
I think we're back on.
Yeah, sorry about that, man. We keep getting these disconnects. I don't know what the...
I'm telling you, we're going to have to get, like, super computer.
Yeah, I don't know why it keeps doing that, but... yeah, man, I mean... So, you know, the main thing that sticks out to me here is that we're basically on both sides of the equation here, and once again, it's basically the typical Rothschild's way, right? Where you fund both sides of the war, so no matter who wins, they both go into debt to you, and one side gives you their money, the other side, they have to give you their property. And that's basically, you know, once again, it's the same old song that keeps being played out here. Now, these ISIS guys indirectly were getting our arms. They captured a bunch of arms when they were taking over these cities up there in northern Iraq. When they took over these military bases, they captured all kinds of arms, tanks and even a helicopter, I believe. I wouldn't be surprised if they even got a few jets, you know. And then, you know, you got Saddam's old army joining forces with these guys. I mean, it's a total groundswell of just absolute anger against what the situation is, man. And think of it, they've been being screwed over by us. They've been being screwed over by their own government. They've been getting screwed over by Iran. They've been getting screwed over by everybody. So these people are absolutely pissed, and no amount of bombs are going to put down this rising tide that's going on over there. We can't bomb the situation into making it better. Right. And the fact is that we're playing both sides of this thing. It just goes to show how absolutely backwards our foreign policy is, how out of touch our foreign policy is. And then on the other side of it, you got Iran now, and you got Lindsey Graham sitting there on CNN saying, yeah, you know, I think we should, you know, work together with Iran to put this thing down. It's like, are you serious? Dude, a few weeks ago you were just saying that we need to bomb these guys, basically. So, I mean, the foreign policy is completely backwards, and you'll see these guys completely change their tone just so they could find their military-industrial complex buddies a couple extra bucks. I mean, it's insane.
Oh yeah, it's even more than insane. I mean, it's just there's a certain portion of people inside of many governments running a similar plan, and I like to hearken it to the war against humanity, where the very top 0.0001% are directing their lackeys to more or less wipe out as many of us as possible to control whatever's left. And it's not too hard to imagine them doing it, starting with soft eugenics and the soft war on people using the toxic chemicals and stuff. But the doozy will be World War III. And the thing is, Russia and China are not playing ball. They're not playing along with it for whatever reason. Maybe because their own elite understand they'll be wiped out as well if something gets started. So we can expect, I hope from everything I've been reading, that when we do have a banking system reset, which people, I'm telling, we've been saying it forever, Nick, get ready for it. Be ready for at least 2 weeks of no food and water, just to be safe. When that reset happens, there's going to supposedly be this wave of banker arrests worldwide, and I have yet to see it. But is that going to change anything if we still allow the people telling the bankers what to do to control things? Well, no. That we need them to actually kind of be outed and decide who among them is fit to have leadership roles in the future and who among them needs to probably be jailed with the bankers.
Yeah, and it's
because all of them aren't bad, Nick. If they were all bad, we'd be in big trouble right now. There has to be some kind of a conflict at the top, and I mean the real top. That otherwise we would be seeing this drone army unrolled with all these crazy predator type things that DARPA has been working on forever. I mean, they have them ready to go, so they're just not being used because I'm sure there's probably at least half of them fighting the other half.
Yeah, just like anything else, man. These these bureaucrats are not perfect by any means, and they make a lot of mistakes. And we can't. I see so many people saying, overestimating the power that be, and really they're just a bunch of frail human beings, like any just like the rest of us. And unfortunately, they've got this kind of mental power over us, more or less, where we all believe in their little games and we play with their schemes and do all this stuff. But I think that those times are coming to an end, man.
I think they just suffer from this extreme philosophical difference that it's their like divine right, because they're the descendants of those who had controlled resources in the past. By whatever means, some of it was subterfuge, some of it was outright might, some of it was talent and skill, and some was just sheer luck, that they should, by rights, be controlling the lesser people. They consider them lesser. And that's just not the way to go forward, starting now, when the internet's provided information to everybody, and we're kind of on a more or less level playing field for a lot of ways. We need to all be raised up.
Yeah, man. And right now, these guys, they don't really get the fact that so many people are done with it. And one of the articles I wrote earlier this week, it went up on livefreelivenatural.com about this war in Iraq and about how we're joining sides with Iran and stuff like that. I kind of point out how, the people at large, the population, even though we get all this brainwashing from the mainstream media, the fact is there's not enough people watching it, or even maybe some people are watching it, but they're not being influenced by it. That over 50% of people in this country, and we're talking about a general poll here with let's face it, people that aren't really at least awake to a lot of the things that are going on, but still 50% of the general population wants the U.S. to pull back from all these foreign theaters and all this foreign policy that we got going on in all these hundreds of countries and almost 1,000 military bases and things like that. The people want us to come home. The people don't want us in Iraq. Hell, I even heard Glenn Beck saying he didn't want us to go to Iraq. I mean, we're talking about, there is a big shift going on. Of course, the same characters, Fox News and MSNBC and CNN, are going to be shoving this thing down our throats. But the fact is, not that many people even get influenced by these people anymore. And if they do, they're extremely old, and they're not the people that are going to be fighting. Because I don't know any I haven't been able to speak to any guys that are active duty military yet, but I'm just guessing that these guys probably do not want to go back there.
No. Well, the thing is, man, you don't want to fight this kind of enemy because there's nothing in it for the people fighting. We haven't been attacked or invaded, not really. I mean, there are rogue elements that are dangerous to our overseas operations and to our empire. But as a whole, no one would ever be stupid enough to outright attack the homeland. We have way too much going on as defense-wise. We're a citadel. Let's not forget that. If anything ever gets hit here, it's because probably it was allowed to happen. We're that strong on the home front. But, yeah, man, it's lunacy to think that it's not pre-planned for effect. It's to the point now where they like to say false flags have become mainstream. People now know what that term means. They get it. They know all these operations like Paperclip, like High Jump, like all of these different things that have gone on under the noses of everyone, but you can't hide the past and you can't hide the truth.
Now, did you see these guys at the? I think it was like at the LA Kings celebration. It was almost like a small riot. But these guys took down a LAPD drone. Did you see that story?
I did. I mean, here's the thing: if everybody would just be so gleeful about doing that, well, they wouldn't try to use them. I mean, how can you identify it? Anytime a large crowd's around, they should be taking the drones out somehow. And what happened, Nick? Did they hack it or did they shoot it?
No, they threw it down with like a shoe or something. They took it out with a shoe.
That's all it took, huh?
Yeah, man, it was pretty simple. It just knocked it a little bit off balance and it came down.
Well,
someone probably took it home as a trophy.
You know, there was a guy who was showing that you can probably hack just about any kind of drone from a laptop, just standing in an open field as long as you have eyesight of it. So, would that be enough time before it shoots a Hellfire? I don't know. But in the future, you're not going to have to shoot an RPG at a drone or whatever. They'll just hack. Everybody's going to be hacking each other's stuff.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. And Iran already claims to have hacked down one of our drones.
Right. I mean, you can't encrypt it. How much encryption can you do? Even quantum encryption still, I mean, there's a finite amount of things. They just get cracked. The code gets cracked eventually. None of these things are safe, and then making them autonomous is insane. At some point, where do you hack it to make it shoot everything?
Exactly. I mean, these guys wouldn't even have to hack it to take it down. They could hack it and then turn it back against us, and it's not a good idea, you know. And that's what they're starting to do with these cloud seeding programs, web modification stuff we were talking about at the beginning. They're trying to get these drones to do it now because they've admitted that doing it in these big jets is a waste of money, costs too much. So now they're trying to get unmanned drones to do it for us, which is just as scary because now we won't be able to have any whistleblowers once all the drones are doing it. And then they also said they're going to fly it a lot lower too. So I mean, there's just so many implications here that are not good when it comes to the whole drone stuff. And now, you know, Obama is getting ready. They're getting ready to put drones out in Iraq, man. And I mean, I don't know if we're going to be able to stop this one, but the fact is that no matter what we do over there in Iraq, it's not really going to fix the situation. We've been doing it. We've been bombing them and bombing them and
right.
bombing them and all this stuff.
Since we've destroyed them and killed so many people, we need to commit to them like we committed to... I was hearing somebody make this distinction. We stayed in Germany, we stayed in Italy, we stayed in Japan, and what happened to them? Their economies flourished because they had our military to protect them, and they could use whatever natural resources they had to develop their own infrastructure. And then, once they didn't need us anymore, we could leave if we wanted to. Did we leave? In Italy's case, pretty much. In Germany's, no. We have Ramstein. And in Japan, no, we didn't either. But, I mean, we can't just abandon them. They have importance on a geopolitical level. And then besides, it's really our responsibility now to just stay and protect them and pretty much do what we did with the other three when we invaded.
Exactly, but this time around, we're completely bankrupt. And we're, like, completely out of money and massively in debt.
But we have a couple things on our side. One, that's a huge desert with enough oil that they can convert even a tiny fraction of that wealth into bada bing solar panels because it's a desert. And they said you can power the entire world with something the size of a little sliver of the Gobi Desert. So imagine if you just loaded Iraq's deserts with solar panels. They'd have energy independence and provide even additional power forever.
Yeah, but see, that would be common sense thinking, and that's not what the government does.
Well,
we don't do that. We go in, secure the oil wells for our buddies, and then get the hell out of there and
we can't
watch
secure
it
them.
with the family.
See, we'll never secure them. That's the thing, is they'll never be secure unless we are always there. We just gotta keep a contingency there.
Yeah, man, and you know, the situation now, though, I think it's just so far gone that us just being there, it goes so far against their ideology. And see, Japan, Europe, it's a little different because these are more modernized countries and stuff. When it comes to Iraq, man, the fact of with having our people there, it pisses them the hell off.
Right.
And it creates blowback just having people on those lands because they detest the way of life, right? And these Sharia guys, these guys that are part of this ISIS that are coming down, these are extremely hardcore, conservative, religious militiamen, right? And they will continue to fight us as long as our people are there, and it's going to be an existential threat. You know, so it's just a matter of getting the situation in the Middle East to where at least the people are in a state of kind of equilibrium where everyone's got a voice and stuff. Because right now the way that the reason why there's all this sectarian violence is because whoever's in control of the government imposes their will against everybody else. And when Obama was talking about it, and he made so much sense, and that's the funny thing is I actually agree with what he said, except for the fact that he's not following the same advice here at home. But what he was saying is that, I mean, the reason why these guys are gaining so much ground is because the government in Baghdad has excluded all these people. So even the people that aren't extreme, the people kind of sympathize with them because they're tired of the shit too. Now Obama said that, but unfortunately they don't have an inclusive government here. We're not being represented. I know for sure I'm not being represented. So and they wonder why they have these people going out there and doing these crazy things, these horrible things. Well, if you drive people to that point, then you radicalize them. Just like we've radicalized these terrorists and stuff. Any population anywhere will get radicalized if they're put into a bad situation for long enough. And it's happening here at home now. And it's going to be they're basically screwing themselves just like they screwed themselves on everything else. So, I mean, it's just a matter of time before either something changes or people get really, really upset. En masse.
Yep. I mean, it's all, yeah, they've planned for that. We saw the report saying how they're coming up with think tanks just to keep track of internet activists and what they call social agitators, and they're going to inject provocateurs into the movement and everything. But unless you're a hopelessly programmed drone and you're working within the system, you get what this is about. This is about the fight for transhumanism. This is about who's going to direct what happens next. Is it going to be a small portion of people that have very much so proven they're not the best of humanity by the most part, that they actually don't even feel? They're emotionless, they're psychopathic. We really don't want these people to represent our species going forward. They don't represent the best of us. The best of us is, well, the people, the diversity, the, I don't know, exceptionalism of what we all have to bring to the table. That's what we need to have engaged. It's going to take something crazy to make people wake up, but maybe that's what we need. Maybe that's the game plan all along for evolution as a species, to get rid of this parasitical class for once and for all and move into the age of Aquarius, where we're going to have knowledge flowing like water, as they say, and we'll achieve this technical utopia. But at first, well, we're going to have to probably sacrifice to get rid of this parasite and slough it off us.
Yeah, man. It's going to be a lot of hard work and a lot of things that'll have to happen for it to come about, you know. And we just need to continue this kind of what I think is kind of an enlightenment type of thing, where we just get people aware of what's going on and aware of reality, you know. And maybe it's not an enlightenment, but it's just an awareness period where we start to understand what the hell is really going on. Now that we have this global communications, I mean, think about it. 200 years ago, if people wanted to do what we're doing now, it would be impossible. They wouldn't have been able to do it. If I wanted to communicate, you know, for instance, someone in Germany right now could be listening to this show and they're hearing it at maybe only like a 5-10 second delay. And if I wanted to make communications with someone 200 years ago that was in Germany, I would have to send it by boat. And we're talking about months and months before it ever gets back to me. So now we're talking about this global communication ability that's unprecedented in history, right? And now we're also talking about the exchange of information that brings about. That is what's going to drive this awareness, so that we can all become aware of what the hell is going on. Like, for instance, with the World Cup, all right? If it weren't for the internet, would we know about all the struggling and all the suffering that's going on over there in the World Cup, where they're destroying these people's homes just to build these raggedy ass stadiums?
I mean, I wonder if people could, in good conscience, go and spend the 10 or 15 or 20,000 they're going to spend on this trip, this once in a lifetime trip, if they knew that, I don't know, 15, 20, 30,000 people were killed, including a lot of children. How many lives were ruined? These are still lives, even if they're poor, even if they're in favelas that are set up so-called illegally. Well, the government is so corrupt in such a rich country that they can't provide for their citizenry, and then they go and wipe them out for trying to have a little bit of shelter, make a little bit of a life for themselves. That's just beyond human rights abuse. And was there any call in the international media about this? No, not at all. Not at all. The human price for this is beyond diabolical. I think the people, once this is over with, maybe will have something to say to their government. But maybe for now they're keeping up with their good behavior. Just they don't want to embarrass themselves.
Yeah, man, and prior to this communications, I mean, all we had to rely on was the stuff that we see on TV. Guess what? We would never hear about any of this child prostitution, about these people getting killed by the police, these people going on strike, and all this stuff. We would never hear about it because on TV they don't show us any of that stuff. They want us to believe that the world is doing great, everybody's happy, except for the countries that our government decides they want to overturn. Then they start showing us, oh, well, these people are doing this, these people are doing that. But how about Saudi Arabia? How come we never hear about the massive human rights abuses in Saudi Arabia, the women's rights abuses? I mean, it's disgusting, and we have such a close relationship with these people. It's obvious that we don't care about human rights. We don't give a damn about human rights. Otherwise, we wouldn't be supporting Israel either. But the fact is that we selectively care about human rights, just like in Iraq. While at the same time in Iran, we've got sanctions on the people, and it's causing the poorest people in the country to starve out. I mean, we're doing that at the same time while we have to say that we got to go in and protect the children in Iraq. It's the same exact thing. I mean, it's just such backwards policy that I seriously can't believe that it's still going on to this day. I seriously can't believe it.
It's sickening, maddening spiral. It's a lacuna coil going straight downward, and the only thing that will wipe it clean is what they keep trying to push for, which is a giant global conflict. That's their whole mindset. The world is so diseased and it can't be cured, it needs to be burned clean. It seriously is their whole justification for nearly the entire mindset of perpetual war for the last forever. I mean, for the last 2 generations, 3 generations, it's been nothing but war after war.
Yeah, and the funny part is that these people are looking at the poor people as the parasite on society. Unfortunately, no, the poor people are the host. The parasite are the very few. We're talking about a handful, a couple thousand people at the top that are causing all this damage and aggregating all the wealth. That is the parasite. The parasite is the leech that is on the host. I mean, the poor people, the people at large, we are the hosts. We are the rightful beings of this planet, and the things that are holding us back are numbered very, very few. It's just that they have this kind of mental they have this mental brainwashing that they have over the masses, where everybody is just obedient to their masters. It's absolutely mind-boggling for people. You know, once you realize what's going on, it's mind-boggling that it's able to stay. It's mind-boggling that it's been able to be kept up for so long.
Yeah, I mean, how is it kept up? The media. That's the only way it can be kept up, and people still buy into it, but not so much anymore. I mean, even the people that are buying into the right-left Republican Democrat paradigm that is completely part of the matrix still understand something's very inherently wrong with everything going on right now, and that how many people vote anymore? I don't know anybody that goes and votes, because I don't think anybody thinks it matters anymore, and they're just tuned out, and they're just trying to make ends meet. And once finally there is some kind of massive collapse, and there will be this massive awakening because people are going to go hungry. That's what's going to wake them up. we're going to have solutions with a quickness because, like I've said before and everybody's said time and again, the government simply cannot provide for this many people. There's just no way to do it. Look what happened in Katrina. Katrina, they couldn't do anything with that, and that was just a small section of the country.
Yeah, I mean, Katrina was tiny. I mean, Katrina was just a little speck of the country, and look at the destruction that was dealt down there. Because once again, it's the failure of the bureaucracy. FEMA bungled the situation, Bush bungled it, all that stuff. But it is kind of symbolic of the situation overall and the kind of stuff that we have to deal with, the kind of stuff that we have to deal with this bureaucracy. Now the VA, of course, has slipped to the back burner because of all this stuff with Iraq, and believe me, the veterans are probably absolutely pissed off right now. Wednesday, I'm going to try to have a veteran on the show, see if we can talk about this thing in Iraq, try to get a veteran's perspective, hopefully someone that's been there, and to talk about the situation, because like we said at the beginning of the show, we've been there since the 90s, if not prior. We've been meddling over there with Saddam Hussein ever since the whole thing with Iran, and we supplied Saddam the chemical weapons to use against the Iranians. I mean, you talk about shady black budget stuff. I mean, Iraq is where it's been going on for a long time. I don't know if it's because I don't know if it's just because of the oil or because maybe it has some historical significance, being that it is ancient Babylon and all that. I have no idea their fixation on Iraq. It probably is just the oil, but the fact is that in all this time with us meddling in the Middle East, the only thing that we've done besides secure the oil is create unrest in all these countries and radicalizing the countries. And now the Iranians absolutely detest us and our government. They all know about that. They all can't stand the Zionist stuff. So, I mean, all we've done there is cause problems. We've wreaked havoc. Now we pick sides in Syria. We finance the wrong guys. Now we got to fight against the guys that we were financing and fighting with. I mean, talk about ass-backwards foreign policy, a policy that is so regressive, it's robbing the poor people blind. The rich people are making off like bandits that have the contracts with the military-industrial complex. I mean, it's time to end it, guys.
Definitely, it's past time.
Alright, guys, thanks for tuning in.
Yo, here we go through the stereo.